The following is brought to you by the Green Party of Pennsylvania. For more information, visit our website.
Hi, my name is Jay Sweeney. I'm running for PA Senate in the 20th District. Well, this campaign initially started when I received a phone call from a friend of mine, David Martin, who is the secretary of the Wyoming County Democratic Party. David called me and said, "Jay, are you running? We don't have a candidate." And I had been watching and hoping that the Democrats would have a candidate to challenge Lisa Baker, but they didn't. So I thought about it a little bit, and it wasn't ideal timing for me to do so, but I decided to run because, like I said earlier, I think democracy demands a choice. And I started thinking about it, and then realized I should maybe even try to get the Democrats to write me in and get the Democratic ballot line. And there was an effort made. I spoke to David Marshall, who was the Democratic, he was the chair of the Senate Committee in Pennsylvania. And he contacted me and said, "Well, if you were elected, would you caucus with the Democrats?" I said, "Sure." So he said, "Well, I'll see what I can do." Now, this was 4 days before the primary election. And that weekend, he must have instructed some people that they should, they could vote for me. And there was some serious efforts made. I had cards printed up, and we worked in Luzerne County and Wyoming County with those cards. But the turnout at the primary election was poor, so we didn't generate a lot of votes there. However, in Pike County, they had representatives at every polling place, and they collected 200 write-in votes for me in the Democratic ticket. Wayne County collected 100. Ultimately, I ended up with just 340 and needing 500 write-ins to get the Democratic ballot line. So in short, I've been receiving a lot of support from the Democrats. Since that time, the rank and file Democrats have been working with me. I've attended a number of Democratic functions, from the Wyoming County breakfast to the Susquehanna County luncheon. I'll be meeting this week with the Delaware Valley Democrats in Milford. So Wayne County Democratic folks, they have me listed on their candidates, from Governor Wolf, Casey, on down. I'm listed with all the Democrats, and they're distributing flyers with that. Action Together and EPA has endorsed me, and they're distributing cards with my picture and my platform in their canvassing efforts. The important thing I see in all of this is why a third party is necessary. The Democrats didn't have a candidate. If I hadn't stepped up, or if I hadn't been approached and asked about stepping up, Lisa Baker would have run again unchallenged. So this demonstrates to me the need for third parties. The Democrats exhausted all their resources looking for a candidate, came up blank. So unless there was a third party willing to step in and run, there would have been no challenger to Lisa Baker. So again, I believe that democracy demands a choice, voters deserve one. In addition, one of the 4 pillars of the Green Party is grassroots democracy. And there are a number of issues I think we really need to work on as far as democracy, strengthening our democracy. I believe a healthy democracy leads to a healthy community. We need to open primaries to all parties. We all pay for primaries right now, but many of us are shut out. If you're an independent, if you're a third party, you can't participate in the primary. So until such time as all of us are allowed to participate in the primary, I think the Democrats and the Republicans should pay for it. Why should all of us pay for it if many of us are shut out? There are many other democratic issues that I think we need to tighten up. We really need to make it easier for people to vote. We don't need voter ID. The governor has also proposed same-day voter registration. I support that idea, but I think we should make every effort to make it easy for people to participate in our democracy. I want to encourage other folks to step up. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's been another message of my campaign in talking to my Democratic friends and my friends in general. It's like, you know, we can't have all these. There's a lot of uncontested races. There's a lot of races throughout the state where there's no candidate on the ballot. Step up and run.
What first got you interested in politics?
Oh gosh, well, I was in high school in the 1960s, and there was a lot of stuff going on between the Vietnam War, the peace movement, the civil rights movement, anti-nuclear movement. So I was exposed to a lot of that as a young person at an impressionable age, I guess you could say. I did get to hear Abby Hoffman speak one time, and it was much later after the Yippie days and all that stuff, but I heard Abby speak one time, and the thing that stuck with me, he said, democracy is a verb. I was like, right, you don't get democracy sitting on the couch. You have to take action. You have to go on this in the streets or whatever kind of action. Write a letter to an editor or something. Be involved in the process. It doesn't happen on its own. So, and then much later I followed people like Ralph Nader. Well, I shouldn't say much later. Around that time probably I was exposed to Ralph Nader too. And I followed Ralph Nader for years. So Ralph, I was always involved in politics. For a long time I was independent. Then Ralph Nader came along and introduced me to the Green Party when he ran in 2000. And I like to say Ralph Nader introduced me to the Green Party, but the values kept me there. Then eventually I got involved in local other campaigns. We had a Mike Morrow ran for governor in 2002, so I got involved with his campaign. And I started thinking, well, I'm doing this, helping these other people. I can do it for myself. So by 2004, I realized my state rep's running unopposed. So I circulated a petition, put my name on the ballot to challenge my state rep. So that kind of started, and it led to whenever I saw uncontested candidates on the ballot, I would circulate a petition to put my name on the ballot, if at all possible, which for the most part turned out, if I tried, I got on the ballot. And that kind of puts us to where we are today. I have been a member of the Green Party for 16, 18 years. I mean, in 2000, but shortly thereafter I became involved with the Green Party. I've been a delegate from Wyoming County for 16 years. I've served as treasurer of the Green Party of Pennsylvania. I've served as chair of the Green Party of Pennsylvania. I have already agreed to caucus with the Democrats if I am elected, so I would certainly seek them out and caucus with them. One of the main reasons I'm running is I'm really concerned about HB and SB 76. This is a piece of legislation to address the property tax issue, school property tax issue in particular. I support the goals of SB 76. I just don't support the means to getting there. The goal is to reduce the property tax. We don't want seniors put out of their homes because they can't afford their property tax, and we all want good schools. But the proposal in SB and HB 76 is to increase the wage tax from 3.07 to as high as 4.95%. And that's a 60% increase on working people. In addition, they want to raise the sales tax 1%. Now, these are very regressive issues, very regressive taxation policies. And I would propose, as Governor Wolf, I support Governor Wolf's plan to do combined reporting of corporate income taxes as a means of generating additional income into the general fund. And that would capture a lot of lost revenue from corporations that are now paying no tax in Pennsylvania because the corporate headquarters is in Delaware, the Cayman Islands, or some other evasion technique. I do support combined reporting as a way of generating funds to go into the general fund, and it can be equitably distributed to our students, schools on a per student basis. So we have more, we don't have schools that have $1 million football fields and then other schools that can hardly afford to pay for their needs. I think we really need to transition to a 21st century energy policy that includes renewable sources, solar, wind, geothermal. These are the real bridge fuels to a future energy policy that we may not even envision right now. We could provide 100% of our energy needs through renewable sources right now if we had the political will to do so. We have existing solar and wind installations, but they grow at a small pace. If we really put our will into it, we could rapidly expand solar and wind applications. I think if you look at every public school, there's flat roofs that could be covered with solar panels that could provide electricity for the schools, and then probably even provide energy into the grid, put energy back into the grid. I think any new public construction should incorporate solar, and it should also incorporate geothermal, as well as conservation measures, windows that are insulating, and everything else in the construction itself should provide for energy efficiency. I support raising the minimum wage. I would like to see it increase incrementally to 15, but I think immediately to 12%. Perhaps over the next 2 or 3 years we could add $1 a year until we do reach 15. I support health care for all Pennsylvania. There's a piece of legislation right now proposed by the group Health Care for All PA. This piece of legislation would address healthcare needs of Pennsylvania residents by taxing businesses 10% per employee, and the employees pay 3%. This plan would cover everything from cradle to grave, and it would be a single-payer plan administered by the state. I support independent redistricting, and I believe the citizens should be very involved in the process to build our districts, create our districts, and the legislature should have very little to say about the matter. It should be independent, and I think we would get better districts and more competitive districts. Competition, democracy demands a choice, and a lot of these districts are gerrymandered so that people feel that they're not going to challenge because they can't win. Democracy demands a choice. The voters deserve one. I absolutely agree that cannabis should be legal. Right now, we do have medical marijuana legislation passed. I believe it should be available in our pharmacies. We should be able to go in either over the counter or through prescription, go to the pharmacy and get, I'm not talking about materials that can be smoked, but tinctures or oils or things that are strictly medicinal. The system that is set up might be a good way to distribute things that are smokable. Right now you can go in and buy the vape pens and things of that nature. That might be the way to distribute that. But ultimately it should be treated just like alcohol. We can homebrew alcohol. I think we should be able to grow cannabis in our gardens. In a free society, we should be able to do that. And as far as hemp, I think hemp would be a great crop for Pennsylvania farmers. There is a big hemp industry, but anyone that's manufacturing hemp in the United States has to import it from Canada or elsewhere. So there is a burgeoning hemp industry, and I think we should allow Pennsylvania residents to grow hemp to take advantage of that and generate income for struggling farmers. My name's Jay Sweeney. I believe it's time for a change. We can have healthy communities through a healthy democracy. We can have clean air, clean water, clean land, and create jobs. I believe in health care for all in Pennsylvania. I support Health Care for All PA's legislation to do so. And I support an increase in the living wage to $12 an hour immediately, and then incrementally to $15. Don't forget to vote on November 6th, and I do hope you'll consider a vote for Jay Sweeney for PA Senate in the 20th District.